By 1979, prices in America were climbing so fast that a dollar in your pocket in January was worth noticeably less by December. Inflation was running in the double digits. A gallon of gas, a bag of groceries, a winter coat, everything cost more this month than it did last month, and more next month than it does right now. People watched their savings accounts quietly melt. Retirees who had done everything right saw their nest eggs lose a real chunk of their value every single year, just sitting there. And in the middle of all that, one ordinary family came out the other end richer. Not on paper tricks, not because they had some inside line. In real terms, after inflation, they had more buying power at the end of that brutal stretch than they did at the start, while most of the country was quietly falling behind. How? That is what this is about. Because what they did was not luck, and it was not complicated.
It was a handful of rules about how money actually behaves when prices will not stop rising. And here is why it matters right now. Those exact rules are the difference between getting quietly poorer every year and genuinely getting ahead, no matter what inflation does next. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you are going to understand inflation better than almost everyone around you, and you will know exactly what to do about it. Now, before you think this is about predicting the market or timing some perfect move, let me clear that up. It is not. This family did not guess where interest rates were going. They were not day trading. And this is not about already being rich or having some secret asset that normal people can't get. Everything they understood, you can understand in the next few minutes. And most of what they did, you can start this week. So let's start with the thing almost nobody explains properly. What is inflation actually doing to you? Strip away the headlines and it is simple. Inflation is a slow, quiet tax. Not the kind the government sends you a bill for, but a tax all the same. Every year, prices rise. The money sitting in your wallet and your savings account buys a little less. You did not spend it. You did not lose it. It just quietly shrank. If inflation is running at 8% and your money is sitting still, you got 8% poorer that year without touching a thing. And here is the part that family understood that most people miss. Inflation does not hit everyone the same way. It punishes some people brutally and quietly rewards others. The people it punishes are the ones holding cash and lending money. The people it rewards are the ones who owe money at a fixed rate and who own real things. Same economy, opposite outcomes. The only difference is which side of inflation you are standing on. Let me show you what they actually did.
The first thing they understood is that holding a big pile of idle cash during high inflation is like holding an ice cube in your hand. The longer you hold it, the less you have. So they kept enough cash for safety and emergencies and not a dollar more sitting idle. Everything beyond that got turned into something that holds its value when prices rise. The second thing, and this is the big one, is that they owned things instead of just holding money. Things that tend to rise in price right along with inflation. A home they could actually afford, tools and equipment that help them earn, practical goods bought before prices climbed even higher. When everything around you is getting more expensive, owning the stuff that is getting more expensive puts you on the winning side of that wave instead of getting crushed underneath it. The third thing is the one almost nobody talks about. They used fixed-rate debt as a careful tool. Here is the part most people never grasp. If you owe a fixed amount at a fixed rate, inflation actually shrinks that debt in real terms. You borrow dollars that were worth a lot, and you pay it back over years with dollars that are worth less. They were not reckless about it, but a sensible fixed-rate loan on something that holds its value, like a modest home, meant inflation was quietly working for them instead of against them. The fourth thing is that they relentlessly grew what they could earn and what they could do. In a normal year, a raise is nice. In a high inflation year, growing your income is not optional, it is survival. Because if your money buys 8% less, you need to be worth more just to stand still. So they sharpened skills, took on more valuable work,
and made sure their earning power climbed at least as fast as prices did. Now here is why all of this actually works, because there are really three forces underneath it. The first force is that they stopped being the one inflation taxes. Idle cash and patient saving, which feels so responsible, are exactly what inflation eats first. By owning real things and keeping their cash lean, they moved out of the line of fire. The tax was still happening. It just was not landing on them anymore. The second force is that they flipped debt from an enemy into a quiet ally. For most people, debt is a trap, and high-interest debt absolutely is. But a fixed obligation in an inflationary world melts a little every year all on its own. The people losing the worst were often the careful savers and the lenders. The people quietly winning were the ones who owed a fixed amount against something real. The third force is that they tied their income to the real world, not to a number that stands still. When your value and your earning power rise along with prices, inflation loses its grip on you. You are no longer a fixed paycheck getting shredded a little more every year. You are a moving target.
And here is what that quietly adds up to in real money, so it stops feeling abstract. Picture two families, both earning the same, both starting with the same savings, in a stretch where prices rise around 8% a year. The first family keeps most of its money sitting in a regular account, never grows its income, and rents its lifestyle from whatever is new. Year after year, their cash buys less, their pay stays flat in real terms, and they slowly slide backward. The second family keeps cash lean, owns the roof over their head at a fixed payment, turns spare money into things that hold value, and pushes their income up every single year. Same inflation, same starting point. After just a few years, the gap between those two families is not small. It is the difference between getting quietly poorer and steadily pulling ahead. Now here's the trap, the reason most people do absolutely nothing. It is the quiet hope that inflation will just go back to normal soon. So there is no real need to change anything. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But that hope is exactly how people lose a decade. Inflation does not wait for you to feel ready. Every year you sit in idle cash hoping for calm, the tax keeps landing. The family that got ahead did not wait for perfect conditions. They acted while everyone else was waiting. So let's talk about what you can actually do, starting this week. First, right-size your idle cash. Keep a solid emergency fund, the money you would need if things went wrong. But take a hard, honest look at the cash beyond that, just sitting still, quietly shrinking, and put it to work in things that hold their value. Second, own instead of rent where it makes sense, especially the big things.
A fixed housing cost in an inflationary world is one of the most powerful protections there is. Because while rents climb every year, your fixed payment stays put while your income rises around it. Third, be smart, not scared, about fixed-rate debt. This is not permission to go borrow recklessly. It is a reminder that a sensible fixed-rate loan against something real means inflation chips away at what you owe, instead of chipping away at you. Fourth, treat growing your income like the survival skill it actually is. In an inflationary world, standing still means falling behind. Build a skill that is worth more. Ask for what you are worth. Start a second stream. Your earning power needs to climb at least as fast as prices do. Fifth, spend on value, not on keeping up. Inflation makes every wasted dollar hurt twice, because the dollar is already shrinking and you threw it away on top of that. Buy things that last. Cut the leaks. Every dollar you do not waste is a dollar inflation never gets to tax. Let me leave you with the thing underneath all of it. That family in 1979 did not beat inflation because they were lucky or rich. They beat it because they understood one thing most people never do. Money sitting still in a world where prices keep rising is not safe. It is quietly disappearing. Real safety does not come from clutching dollars and hoping. It comes from owning real things, from owing the right way, and from being worth more every year than you were the year before. Inflation is going to do whatever it is going to do. You do not get a vote on that. But you absolutely get a vote on which side of it you stand on. You can be the one it taxes or the one it quietly rewards. The rules are the same now as they were in 1979. The only question left is whether you actually use them.